The Mystery of BELICENA VILLCA. Third Book. Quest for Uncle Kurt. Chapter 1. The reader can give free rein to the imagination. He will never attain to envisage the emotions, and the state of total perturbation in which the lecture of the letter of BELICENA VILLCA plunged me. Was something extremely strange for me. As I went reading it, I experienced a plurality of anemic states. Thus, I passed from the initial skepticism to the surprise, from this last to the stupor, then to the curiosity, and successively to 1,000 other feelings. Finally, a primitive and senseless enthusiasm overpowered me and, instead the denying of the letter as an imposture, logical attitude and perfectly justified, I made the opposite, sealing thus my luck. I decided to undertake the adventure. I was just finishing the lecture of the letter, and, almost without hesitate, I had taken a decision. Why? I will try to explain it. Until the moment in which I read the letter, my life was empty of ideals. I had a brilliant professional future, and what I needed for my comfort. I was fortunate with women, and even though no one obtained to gain my heart, that would occur sooner or later. Everything made foresee that my life would be developed by the lanes that guide to mundane success. Nevertheless, something was failing in this framework, because I was not happy. I possessed peace and material tranquility, but many times the sadness racked me. I sensed that a horizon to look for was missing to my spirit, an ideal, a goal maybe, worth of the major sacrifice. For this reason, I contemplated with envy the universal history, the heroic periods in which I would have liked to live, to choose such and such side, follow this, or that reformer, commit that liberating heresy, or sink ardently into the tyrannical dogma. Life, fight, die, be a man. But, to be a man is not just to think, is to feel the spirit. And the spirit is felt, when the life is oriented in the search for an ideal. Because, the ideals are not in this world, are from another order, the same as the spirit and its related. It is not easy. To be idealist, requires much courage, due to the reality, misleading and cruel, keeps a trap for the ingenuous idealist, and a tomb for the committed idealist. I've seen how the idealist element of my generation was systematically annihilated, and its ideals qualified as nihilist. An Argentinian admiral, who passes as an erudite person, Meza, said in a speech, "We're fighting against the nihilists, against delirious of destruction, whose objective is the destruction itself, although they are masked out social redeemers." Many of the dead and disappeared were not such thing, but idealists, who believed that the infantile myth of the social revolution, as a valid mean to install a fair order in the world. Precisely for believed to be idealist, they didn't see the diabolic plot in which they were immersed. Precisely for believe, they were some indoctrinated, armed and then hurled idiotically to the adventure, by the same synarchic system, that repressed it later. And I don't think only in those who wielded arms, who, perhaps deserved to die for being stateless, but in many others who fell on knowing the smell of the gunpowder, for have committed the crime to love the ideals that affected some interest or privilege. That is not nihilism. Nihilism is the balmy repression, the suffocating censure, the instituted mediocrity, the officialized corruption, the digitate brainwash, in sum, the relentless tyranny, cloaked obscenely in a democratic or liberal language. The triumph of the system is the stability of a corrupt order of things, of a society edified over the usury and materialism, of a country drew within it, to be inserted in a foreign geopolitics, planned in detail, by the international synarchy of the great imperialism. What offers to us this contemporary world of dollars and steel worth of our sacrifice? Here, a decadent and sepoy culture. There, a terrorism without greatness. A repressor and assassin power. A cowardly lie of church. Why go on if all stinks? This was my anemic state, when I read the letter of BELICENA VILLCA, and for this reason, my reaction was instantaneous. I, the insignificant Dr. Sentinel, little more than the number of file or license, someone lost in the daily mediocrity of the remote Saltac suddenly was called for a dangerous mission. I'm convoked by destiny. The blood was boiling through my veins, and something similar to a reminiscence of past battles came over me. BELICENA was wondering in her letter if I could be a KSHATRIYA. Well, I already was. Apart from this irresponsible enthusiasm, at heart, I experienced a great stupefaction by little trying to reason about the content of the letter. I could not deny that from it emerged an enormous primordial force, a halo of ancient and forgotten truths, as if BELICENA did not belong to this age, or, better said, as if she was independent from time. The language was pagan and vital. Fantastic would be the fair term, if was not for the assassination of BELICENA, that converted this premonitory message in something macabrely real. Two questions seethed in my head, thinking from one to another, insoluble of continuity. Where was this sign of the origin, from which I am carrier, clearly visible for BELICENA VILLCA, apparently representative of some spiritual condition? I remembered perfectly what BELICENA VILLCA had written the second day. In reality, what exists as divine heritage of the gods is a symbol of the origin in the pure blood. The sign of the origin, seen in the stone of Venus, was just a reflector, the symbol of the origin present in the pure blood of the warrior kings, of the sons of the gods, of the semi-divine men, who, apart from the animal body and a material soul, possessed eternal spirit. Yes, it was true that I possessed the symbol of the origin in my pure blood. If I was a spiritual man, then I'd have the possibility to obtain the highest wisdom of the White Atlantans. Oh, I had misinterpreted the words of BELICENA. Because, in that second day, she wrote, the wisdom consists to comprehend the serpent with the sign of the origin. According to BELICENA, the gods affirmed to men, you have lost the origin, and you are prisoner of serpent. With the sign of the origin, comprehend the serpent, and you'll be free again in the origin. At the light of these concepts, my reasoning was the following. If the sign of the origin, my own sign of the origin, was manifested and impressed in some part of my body, in such manner, that it was rapidly distinguished by BELICENA, that was the sight that I should identity, and project on the world, over the serpent, as the Hyperborean initiates did in ancient times. Thus, I felt like an inner urgency to localize that sign, and realize the commandments of the gods. But I also understood that I lacked of many esoteric elements of the Hyperborean wisdom. But, if the first question should be left open, the second was spinning in my head, about the family proof. I would not delay to investigate. BELICENA VILLCA, indeed, had assured, in the fourth day, that my family was destined to produce an archetypal honey, the exquisite squash of the sweet. That was the first news that I had about the matter, and I would try, at least, to check it with my close relatives.